Welcome to Glass Card Apothecary. I am Josephine Glass, and today we're doing something that's not a tea for once. We're going to do a steam, which is where you put a bunch of herbs in a bowl and you pour boiling water, and instead of drinking it, you breathe it. And as I'm sure you could possibly tell from my voice, it is that time of year that we all get sick. I've had a stuffy nose, a cough for like the last couple days. Please ignore the baby noises. He's also had a stuffy nose. So, this steam is to help get rid of the gunk in your lungs that I always get this time of year. It's December, if you're watching this later on in my life. Alright, so for my lung steam, the first herb that I like to use is mullein. Mullein is the quintessential respiratory herb. It is tonifying, which means it strengthens the lungs. It strengthens the respiratory system. And according to something called the doctrine of signatures, which is how people used to kind of decide which plants were good for what, and it was which plants looked like they would be good for this part of your body. So mullein is hairy, and that associates itself with the cilia, the little hairy things that are in the respiratory tract. Yep. So that's how we decided that mullein was good for lungs, which it is. And a lot of herbs, like motherwort, that have that red stem, it's good for blood, it's good for uterus, things that are associated. And the doctrine of signatures works pretty well most of the time. But anyways, mullein. And I'm just going to use a little bit because I'm using it like a one-time steam. So I'm just doing a little teaspoon here of this herb. So I'm going to put just a little bit more, like a half. So mullein, it is cooling and moistening. So if you have this dry, hacking cough that's not getting anything anywhere, mullein is good for cooling down a sore throat that feels like it's on fire, cooling down that scratchiness in your lungs. And moistening to kind of loosen up the mucus and get it out of your lungs, because if you're coughing, there's something to cough up, even if your body doesn't want to let it go. It is rich in mucilage, I don't know. It's plant mucus, like chia seeds and things like that. When you get a plant wet, it gets slimy. This is my dog. It gets slimy. That's mucilages, and whenever you have that in your body, it can help move your own mucus out of your body. And it also has saponines, I don't know, specific to the respiratory system, things that tonify and strengthen the respiratory system. It's good for bronchitis, dry coughs, and encourages productive coughing, which when we have stuff in our lungs, that's what we all need. Isn't that right, kiddo? Yes. And if you're using fresh mullein, hear my voice, I need this steam right now. If you're using fresh mullein, be careful of the little hairs, because while they do look soft and fuzzy, they are in fact irritating. So if you make a tea out of fresh mullein leaves and you get the little hairs in your throat, it's not going to make you feel better. So the next herb that I put in here is hyssop. Y'all I used to hear about hyssop in the Torah in the Old Testament. That's a cleaning and cleansing herb. Wash it with hyssop kind of statement that you hear in the Psalms. Hyssop is antimicrobial. Actually, jumping back to mullein, it is anti-inflammatory, demulcent. I should practice these words before I make videos. It relieves irritation in the mucous membranes, like your lungs and your sinuses. It's an expectorant and a lung tonic. That's mullein. Now, hyssop is also antimicrobial, antispasmodic. It is bitter, and it is diuretic, which means it induces sweating, and oftentimes if we can sweat out a sickness, that's exactly what we need. And it is also an expectorant. Now, it is warming and drying. So, mullein was cooling and moistening. Now, we do the drying and the warming because we want to get it moving, get it out, and then dry it up so it doesn't come back. A little bit counterintuitive, but I have never found that combining warming and drying and cooling and moistening herbs has ever had an effect where they cancel each other out. Someone more knowledgeable than me might disagree, but I use hyssop and it's worked for me. Let's see, hyssop is usually used for stomach complaints, but it is antimicrobial to clean out whatever has gotten into your lungs and made you sick. It gets the mucus moving. It is good for deep, wet coughs, so our mullein is really good for the dry coughs. Hyssop is good for the wet, deep coughs. And it's good for chronic lung conditions, like if you get bronchitis every year, hyssop is what you need. And it will help with the gunk that is in your lungs. And the kid agrees. The next one we got here is thyme. Luckily, I actually have fresh thyme that I've grown myself. It's still alive here in December, so we'll see how long that lasts. Thyme. Now, thyme is anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant. It's antimicrobial and antispasmodic. It's also astringent to kind of tighten up the the lungs and keep that mucus from coming back. It's warming and drying, just like hyssop. And it is a bronchodilator, which opens up the little capillaries in the bronchial system, in the respiratory system, to get things moving, to get the blood in there, get the oxygen out, makes you feel better all the way around, and it clears congestion. Thyme has thymol, or thymol, which is a chemical in thyme, which is an excipient, an antispasmodic, and antimicrobial, and it helps balance the lungs. Oftentimes, thymol will be extracted from thyme and used in pharmaceuticals, or you can use the whole herb, which oftentimes brings better balance to the body rather than isolating one chemical. That's why we do herbalism, to create a balance in our bodies. And the last one I like is lavender, because lavender is just nice. It makes it smell better, makes it easier to breathe, but it is also an antispasmodic and circulatory stimulant, and it is cooling and drying. So we have 2 cooling herbs, 2 warming herbs, and 3 drying herbs, and 1 moistening herb. Now, like I said, I have not yet learned whether or not and how the cooling and moistening things will cancel each other out, but this has always worked for me. Now, you've taken these herbs, I put them on a oven and boil the water, but since this is the nice pretty place that I like to do videos, I'm not doing that. I have my bowl here, I have my hot water here, you pour it in, and you breathe the steam. My husband says it smells like a forest, and he really likes the way that it smells, because the lavender does smell pretty good. You reach over, you breathe, breathe the steam in deep to get that stuff moving in your lungs. And for me, if I do it in the morning, I feel better all day when I wake up with that nasty cough. So, we talked about mullein, hyssop, thyme, and lavender in a lung steam for whenever you get that seasonal cough that just won't go away. So again, I am Just from Glass. This is Glass Garden Apothecary, and thank you for watching my video.